Welcome to my podcast where we analyze literary theories and stories. So today I'm going to be analyzing The White Heron by Sarah Orne Jewett. It was first published in 1886 and it was one of the most famous of Jewett's short stories. The story follows a young girl named Sylvia who lives in a small country home with her grandmother. She has a simple life, ambling about with her cow, hanging out with the forest creatures, and getting up to typical preteen shenanigans. But when a young hunter arrives on the scene with a very tempting offer, Sylvia has to question whether this isolated rural life is what she truly wants. The simple folksy tale ends up touching on a lot of topics that affect the lives of young people every day, including how the innocent can be manipulated by the not so innocent, how love can blind us to even the most obvious of truths, and how there's a lot more than meets the eye where nature is concerned. So grab your hiking stick and take a stroll down the New England countryside with me, as this is one trip that you don't want to miss. Now, if you don't want me to spoil the story for you, please go through the trail that says exit now, because yes, there will be spoilers ahead. It was a tough decision to decide what literary theories I wanted to analyze for the story, but I've decided to use the two literary theories of feminist gender criticism and Marxist criticism for this story. So the feminist/gender criticism is the first theory that I'll be going over. The feminist definition from the Critical Theory Today book is: the feminist criticism examines the ways in which literature reinforces or undermines the economic, political, social, and psychological oppression of women. The gender definition is a woman who's internalized the norms and values of patriarchy, which can be defined in short as any culture that privileges men by promoting traditional gender roles. So, throughout the story of the White Heron, girls aren't known to climb trees, especially in that time period, but in this story, Sylvia is known to be able to climb a tree. She overcomes the normal idea of a woman and climbs the tree all the way to the top. For example, in the text, it says, "There's a huge tree asleep yet in the paling moonlight, and small and silly Sylvia began with utmost bravery to mount to the top of it." It also says in the story, "There, when she made the dangerous pass from one tree to the other, the great enterprise would really begin." And then in another part in the story, it really shows her bravery as she crept out along the swaying oak limb at last and took the daring step across into the old pine tree. So she overcomes the normal idea of woman in this time period, and she's up there climbing a tree, and that's not normal for normal girls in this time period to do. Due to Sylvia being brave and unlike other girls in the time period by climbing the tree, she has to make a decision because of her climbing the tree to find the white heron. And this is over Marxist. So the Marxist definition from the Critical Theory Today book is: getting and keeping economic power is the motive behind all social and political activities, including education, philosophy, religion, government, the arts, science, technology, and so on. In all, Marxist is about money, class, and power. So towards the end of the story, the hunter offers $10 to Sylvia and her grandmother if they could show him the white heron. Now, in this time period, that $10 is worth around $300, but that's getting more into historical criticism. Sylvia has also started to develop a crush on the hunter as well in the story. As it says, Sylvia still watched the young man with loving admiration. She had never seen anybody so charming and delightful. Therefore, this has started the power of love. Then, with the offering of $10 to show the white heron to the hunter, the power of money is introduced. Next, Sylvia has fallen in love with the nature as she is on top of the tree due to the feminism and being unlike other girls. So the text says, "And wait, do not move a foot or a finger. Little girl, do not send an arrow of light and consciousness from your too eager eyes. For the heron has perched on a pine bough not far behind yours and cries back to his mate on the nest and plums his feathers for the new day." So now the power of nature has begun. So now Sylvia has to contemplate whether the power of love versus the power of money versus the power of nature. And this is all because of the feminism of her and being able to climb that tree and having bravery to even find the white heron in the first place. So in the end of the story, she has to decide what power is she going to go with. Is she going to go with the power of love or the power of money or the power of nature? And in the end, she decides to go with the power of nature. As it says in the story, Sylvia cannot speak. She cannot tell the heron's secret and give its life away. So now let's get to the most conflicted part of our podcast and now combine the two theories, and let's say Sylvia was a boy instead of a girl. So will that change the decision of power of nature versus love versus money? Now, the love changes because then you're looking at queer theory since it would be two males. But there's still the power of nature versus the power of money. And really you could go both ways into arguing, but I believe that getting into gender criticism, men do seem to hunt more in the world today, and they seem to care less about nature than women, and most likely men care about money more than nature. And therefore, I believe if Sylvia was a male instead, that the decision would change and the power of money would end up being on top. This has been the podcast of The White Heron with the literary theories of feminism, gender criticism, and Marxist criticism. Join us next week where we will analyze the story of structuralism and historical criticism and the story of a Roman fever.